Dugast. 6, Earthstopper, Mr. George Sloan. 8, Grittar, Mr. Kit Saunders, Mr. Dick Saunders. 9, Henry Bishop, Richard Rowe. 10, Leslie Ann, Colin Brown. 11, Master Smudge, Steve Smith Eccles. 12, Night Nurse, John Joe O'Neill. 14, P.T. Sandy, Geordie Dunn. 15, Royal Bond, Tommy Carberry. 16, Silver Buck, Robert Earnshaw. 17, Robert Earnshaw. 17, Snowflyer, Bob Champion. 18, Straight Jocelyn, Hugh Davis. 19, Sugar Alley, Colin Tinkler. 20, Sunset Christo, Chris Grant. 21, Tide Cottage, Jerry Newman. 22, Two Swallows, Anthony Webber. 23, Venture to Cognac, Mr. Oliver Sherwood. And 24, Wansford Boy, written by Robin Dickett.
Because of injury, was substituted last year by Alan Brown. Surely one of the toughest horses in training, and a horse who's come through so many hard races. Indeed, even John Joe has been accused by some critics, included the respected Lord Oaksey, from time to time of being too hard on him.
He falls asleep on you, you know, and he's a very, very tough horse. But he fights himself, you know. He's encouraging. Once he starts to run, you know, he keeps running and running. He keeps encouraging it to give him one, you know. And you've got to get him really running, bustled up and get him running. Once he's running, he doesn't need any more, then you just have to keep him at it, you know. But he takes a bit of stoking up to get him going, you know. He just literally switches himself off, you know, falls asleep. And if he's not liking it or things aren't going right for him, you know, he just says, oh, well, that's it, you know, I'm not doing any more sort of style, you know. And you wake him up and then all of a sudden you're flying again, you know. He's a very, very tough horse, you know, and you've got to know him, you know. I mean, anybody standing in the stands telling you how to ride him is ridiculous. No disrespect to John Oates or anybody else, but he's that type of horse, you know. You just ride him as you find him.
And who knows, with a record field of 22 runners in the Cheltenham Gold Cup, how any jockey will be able to ride his horse. Well, the 22 runners are in the paddock now, and under the surveillance of our paddock commentator, Richard Pittman.
Yes, it's the fullest paddock that we've seen for the Cheltenham Gold Cup, and indeed we have quite some notable personalities in the centre here. There is Queen Elizabeth, the Queen Mother, and also a very welcome guest, Lady Diana, Princess of Wales, with her back to us, talking to Lieutenant Colonel Piers Ben-Goff, and I'm sure the vast crowd, those that have picked her out, very pleased to see her here. So, most of the runners, in fact, they've been in here a little while now, all looking well. There's only one runner that possibly shouldn't be in this field. That's Wansford Boy, trained locally here at Cheltenham, and he has no claims whatsoever to be in the Gold Cup field. Number 12, the horse that everybody who has a heart will want to see win the Gold Cup. What an amazing horse he is as he saunters around the parade ring. He always does this, but just do look at his action. That's the telltale thing, that this horse is an athlete. And who would believe that he was spun by a vet as a 3-year-old for having a bad heart? Because heart is the one thing he's got. He never knows when he's beaten. And although he's lost some of the speed that enabled him to win 2 champion hurdles, he's lost none of the guts that he had then. Really good jumper of fences, puts his feet up near his ears, and I'm sure that there'll be a very good reception for John Joe O'Neill and this horse should they win. Diamond Edge looking superb in the paddock here. He's supposed not to like heavy ground, and this was attributed to his defeat last time out at the hands of Royal Judgment, but I didn't subscribe to that view. In my opinion, it was a false race, 3-horse race, and I'm sure that we get funny results in these small fields. I don't think that the ground was entirely to blame. Night Nurse is 5-2 favourite, Royal Bond 7-2, 7-1 bar, but this could be a very exciting Gold Cup. Diamond Edge, twice the winner of the Whitbread Gold Cup on firmish ground, and the way the horses were running through it yesterday and the day before, I don't think it's as heavy or as holding as one might expect. There's Fulk Warwin and Bill Smith, and they're going to Diamond Edge's head. The Chestnut, Royal Bond, bred in England by Mrs. Z.S. Clark, not far from Newbury at Highclere. They've bred a lot of good chasing horses and remarkably stolen from under the noses of the English trainers and their agents by Arthur Moore. Number 15, he is on the card, and doesn't he look in fine condition there? He's really well, absolutely cherry ripe for the occasion. Well, Royal Bond, if he's got one flaw, it's his jumping. Royal Bond, 7-2 second favourite. He does tend, at the latter stage of a race, to give a fence a clout. It never stops him, and doesn't seem to perturb him very much at all. But you can't, in a very tight race like this, you can't give too many things away. Number 15, Royal Bond. Grittar, now another popular winner this would be. Dick Saunders, who gave up race riding for 10 years to concentrate on building his farm up, and this horse absolutely loves the ground, and Dick will be riding him at Liverpool in the A3 Grand National. He's got an outside chance in a race like this. Spartan Missile ran so well last year. Grittar is a 20-to-1 shot. But Dick, who, having built up his farming empire, now farms about 2,000 acres, is bang back in the fray and is one of our best amateurs. So this one owned, trained, bred by Frank Gilman, farmer from Leicestershire. And Frank here, very, very calm this morning, but I should think he's starting to get a little bit nervous now. There will be a parade for this race. The runners just assembling themselves in the correct order. And 18 behind Grittar. That is Straight Jocelyn, ridden by Huell Davis for Roddy Armitage, bred by Jay Ward, and running in the colours of David Jackson. This one, who's got some good form, but looks to have to find a bit to win this race. But let's see how they bet.
Night Nurse 5-2, Royal Bond 7-2, Leslie Ann and Silverbuck 7-1, Venture to Cognac 8-1, Diamond Edge is 10-1, Bregawn is on 16-1. Grittar 20-1, and on 33-1, a whole heap of them, Border Incident, Captain John, Petey Sandy, Tide Cottage and Henry Bishop. Straight Jocelyn and Sunset Christo with Master Smudge are 50-1, and it's 66-1 bar these.
So Leslie Ann there behind Venture to Cognac, this mare by Menelek, and she's a spring horse. She likes soft ground, stays forever, trained by David Ellsworth. Colin Brown has the mount here. Colin gets on so well with this mare. Brian Gall, the owner, a Limerick man who's resident in Kensington, but he's a Limerick man and proud of it. Night Nurse, 11-4 favourite from 5-2, 4-1 bar. But this mare certainly put Little Owl to the test last year before the Gold Cup, when finishing 6 lengths behind Little Owl. That time we thought that the form wasn't too good, but it turned out to be excellent because this mare went on to win the Sun Alliance. Leslie Ann 8-1 from sevens, and David Ellsworth having a terrific jumping season. A bit disappointed with Halen in the champion hurdle, but I believe there's a valid excuse for his poor performance. Silverbuck, not a very big horse. Michael Dickinson always disagrees with me when I say this, and he trains it, so he should know. But as a mould of a steeplechaser, this one doesn't really fit the bill. But his engine is a big one and very effective indeed. When he goes, when Robert Earnshaw presses the button, this one really can go. Now, he's beaten Night Nurse on every time they've met. He's 7-1 third favourite, except for the Gold Cup last year, when the sticky ground was attributed to his defeat. So the ground could again be against him, but he's been working particularly well, and Michael Dickinson must be congratulated in getting him back to peak after a setback, because he had a training setback, was in his box for a very long time, almost 6 weeks I think, and then came back and was so impressive at the market race. But we have a further show of betting for you.
A slight easing of the favourites price. Night Nurse now 11-4 from 5-2. Royal Bond 4-1. Silverbuck is third favourite, still on 7-1. Leslie Ann has gone out to 8-1 with Venture to Cognac. Diamond Edge 10-1. Bregawn has gone to 20-1 from 16s. Grittar also 20-1. And Border Incident, Captain John, Petey Sandy, Tide Cottage and Henry Bishop are all 33-1. On 50-1, Straight Jocelyn, Sunset Christo and Master Smudge. Earthstopper has come into the betting at 50-1 as well. 66-1 bar.
And the runners now almost in the correct order. Venture to Cognac, Mr. Oliver Sherwood. Well, Oliver was quoted widely in many of the papers as saying after his last victory, "I've got one hand on the Cheltenham Gold Cup." Well, I wonder after this race will he have two hands. He tells me that he was misquoted widely that day. Venture to Cognac, 8-1. This horse owned by Oliver Sherwood's father, Nat, who is a great sportsman, an Essex farmer, and Oliver really pleased with this horse. He beat Dramatist by no less than 20 lengths last time out in the heavy ground, and he has a great chance. And another sportsman of note there, Prince Charles, looking very pensive before the race. In fact, he's looking very happy. We believe that he's also going to Aintree for the Grand National, so we look forward to seeing him there again. But this is a good race, and he really appreciates a good chase, having Border Incident owned by Andrew Warrender and Lord Sudeley. And what an exciting little horse this, but he's been plagued with troubles all his training life, his racing life. But he was very much back to his best last time out. Then Bregawn, ridden by young Graham Bradley. What a chance it is for this youngster from Michael Dickinson's yard, because Bregawn has run tremendously well behind, or in front of Night Nurse on several occasions. Then Captain John and Peter Scudamore. David Tom trains this one. Then Diamond Edge. Diamond Edge being led by his normal lad, Mick Mullingar, they call him. And then the green spots, Drum Rowan. This one trained in France by Gerard Philippot and ridden by Claude Dugas. And Drum Rowan, no earthly chance, I'm afraid, but he looks really well. Then George Sloan on Earthstopper, only just out of his novice stage, but this is a useful horse. I was surprised when he was declared for this race. Good horse. Grittar, Dick Saunders, the popular winner. Then we have Henry Bishop. Well, he's finished in front of Venture to Cognac on one occasion. Then the mare, Leslie Ann. It's a mare by Menelek. What an acquisition to the Paddock she'll be when her racing days are over. Then Master Smudge. What value he must be at 66-1. It just looks to be coming back to form. Then the great Night Nurse and John Joe, smiling at all his fans. Everybody be wishing him well as he walks out. They're clapping him on the way out. Well, what will they do when he comes in if he's in first place? A marvellous combination. Paddy Broderick is rider here today. Petey Sandy, now Petey Sandy from Scotland, winner of the Corals Welsh National. This one trained by Helen Hamilton for her mother. Comes from the Scottish border country. Silverbuck 15-2, third favourite from 7-1. Then in the pink, Royal Bond, Silverbuck, Snowflyer, Straight Jocelyn, Sugar Alley. But there's the one that everybody will be willing home. He's had so many battles up this Cheltenham Hill. I wonder if today can be his greatest and his finest hour. But he simply is amazing the way he doesn't show any emotion at all. Night Nurse, who certainly does save his best for the end of a race, or in fact during a race. But just watch his jumping on the way around, because he's an amazing horse for a champion hurdler who has taken to fences, because he puts his head down and his feet almost come up above his ears when he has to stretch for a fence. He's got a lot of spring in those legs. Reg Spencer, his owner, great sportsman. So here, the field for the Cheltenham Gold Cup. 22 runners, the biggest field, and this ground, certainly in the car parks and in the paddock here, showing the wear of the last couple of days. But they're on the new course today, and that should be in the favour of the horses that like good ground. Number 14, this is Petey Sandy. What a lovely horse this is. Isn't he beautifully made? Ridden by Geordie Dunn, turned professional only a month ago, and Geordie on the 14 winner mark. Had he stayed an amateur, he would have been challenging for the top honours again this season, but decided he might as well get a few quid for riding as well as enjoying it. It's won by Mrs. Constance Hamilton, but here's Royal Bond, number 15, by Honour Bound out of Royal Alliance, owned by Mr. George Malcolmson, Arthur Moore the trainer. Well, Tommy Carberry, it would be fitting for him to win here after so tragically losing the race on Tide Cottage, just on a technicality. Looks very, very well. Venture to Cognac is 7-1 from 8. This horse very much on his toes, and quite a contrast to the old campaigner Night Nurse. Silverbuck, who really looks fit. Robert Earnshaw rides this one. Robert, who has come to the fore this year, had a lot of chances and certainly grasping them. This one's been working particularly well lately and was very impressive, even though it was at Market Raisin on his comeback race. He was so impressive in doing so. This is a class horse, and when he comes up this hill, if the ground hasn't sapped his strength, then he should have that little bit of vital speed. Silverbuck is 15-2 at the moment. Snowflyer, who, what a disappointment he has been. In his early days, this looked to be the most exciting novice I'd seen. I hadn't seen a horse jump fences as well as this for many, many years, but he's been plagued with leg troubles and various injuries, and now looks to be a light of other days. 17, he is on the card, and he's ridden by Bob Champion. Straight Jocelyn, another really good horse, although he looks to be held. He runs a good race every time he races, and I think that he's got a little bit to find. So they go down. It's a very long parade, a long preliminary for the Gold Cup, and some horses take it far better than others. A lot of horses do actually lose a race before a race like this, because I'm afraid that they tend to boil over. But I don't think that Night Nurse is in any danger of doing that. Straight Jocelyn 66s from 50s. I don't think there'll be any great rush to back in that. Smudge, trained by Arthur Barrow down on in Exmoor in the West Country, and Arthur, who says that it rather rankles that this horse never gets any praise at all. He's always considered a lucky horse, but he's won him an awful lot of money. He's been very consistent. He gallops wherever he goes in the soft, and a very game horse, but he does need to be out there to keep his interest up, and Steve Smith-Eccles is just his jockey, because he can really galvanise it. So they walk round at the start. We have a further show betting for you.
And it's 11-4 Night Nurse, Royal Bond 4-1, Venture to Cognac 7s, Silverbuck 8-1, Leslie Ann has gone out to 10s, Diamond Edge is 12-1, Grittar's come into 16-1 from 20, Bregawn is 20-1, Tide Cottage 25-1, on 33-1 Henry Bishop and Petey Sandy, Captain John, Border Incident and Master Smudge are 40-1, and on 50-1 Sunset Christo and Earthstopper 66-1 bar.
And there is Tide Cottage. Well, Tide Cottage knows his way around Cheltenham. Jerry Newman has the ride. Just getting rid of a bit of excess fluid there. Of course, you need to have your tubes, the same as a horse, really clear for a race like this, because no quarter given, none asked. Tide Cottage looked particularly well when I saw him being exercised in the middle of the course here a couple of days ago. Really looked lively, and his last few runs in Ireland have shown that he actually is coming back. Whether he's coming back to his best or not, I don't know, but he got very close to Royal Dipper at Fairyhouse, and again finished third behind Mullacurry and Might His Honour at Fairyhouse on February the 20th. And that is just quite good form. I would expect him to put up another good performance here at Cheltenham in this Gold Cup, the race in which he's performed so well in over such a long time. He's a 25-1 shot at the moment. Silverbuck going away from us, and in the yellow colours there, Earthstopper and George Sloan. How well this horse ran at Ascot when chasing Wayward Lad home. He's been dying out for a distance to be run over. George, who's still smarting over some of my remarks about him falling off at Ascot a few months ago, says that he won't do it today. Very hard for an amateur to be fit when he's a keen businessman. Well, the amazing thing about this horse, trained by Fred Winter, he's had his training problems, a bit of arthritis in the shoulder, and he has benefited from injections of a substance taken from Cockerell's cocktails. Diamond Edge 11-1 from 12-1. What actually this does to him, I don't know, but it does keep him sound, and certainly it didn't do him any harm last time when he won by 20 lengths from Dramatist. But a lovely horse. He did finish, and it was rather surprise second behind Henry Bishop at Ascot, and on that form, of course, you give Henry Bishop a bit of a chance. Bregawn 16-1 from 20s. Venture to Cognac, a lovely horse. He won here a few years ago in one of the novice hurdles in heavy ground, and came up the hill like a true stayer. There in the red colours, the light pale hat is number 20, Sunset Christo, trained by Ray Hawkey at Stockton and bred by his daughter who owns a Carol Hawkey. Well, this one, a very decent animal. Venture to Cognac 6 is now from 13 to 2. That's the leader of those two. But Sunset Christo, ridden by Chris Grant there, not quite lived up to his best so far this season. Grittar there in the purple colours of Frank Gilman. Not a very big horse, but beautifully made. So the starter calling them in time for a quick show of betting before we join Peter O'Sullivan.
Night Nurse 11 to 4, Royal Bond 4 to 1, Venture to Cognac 6s now, Silverbuck 8 to 1, Leslie Ann 10s, Diamond Edge 11 to 1, Grittar 16, so is Bregawn, Tide Cottage 25 to 1, 33 to 1 bar these.
And the record field for the Cheltenham Gold Cup being called in. The white flag up, they're under starters' orders. Night Nurse broadside to the tape at the moment, right over the far side. Several appeals here. Border incidents behind the others. Grittar, the Grand National favourite, has got his back to the tape. Very closely grouped over the far side. You see Night Nurse, he's not quite facing the tape at the moment. John Joe Neal trying to get him to line up straight, and they're away. Just a little bit raggy, that start, and Tide Cottage with the sheepskin noseband coming to jump the first of the 22 fences in the lead. Tide Cottage from Wansford Boy and Sunset Christo and Grotto, and Border Incident jumped it very big in rear, all safely over it there. And Tide Cottage, the old man, the veteran, 14 years old, in the lead from Wansford Boy. Night Nurse gone up on the inside of Grittar, Sunset Christo next, and then Earthstopper and Bregawn, and then Diamond Edge. And then comes Two Swallows and Venture to Cognac, and Captain John and Sugar Alley with Master Smudge on the inside, then Straight Jocelyn and Henry Bishop, and on the inside then is Silverbuck and Peter Standy. Behind Peter Standy is Leslie Ann, and then Snowflower, and Royal Bond, and then Drum Rowan and Border Incident as Tide Cottage takes him along at a real good gallop. Jerry Newman running down to the third fence. Tide Cottage from Wansford Boy, Night Nurse, Sunset Christo, Venture to Cognac and Grittar. Earthstopper is next, followed by Diamond Edge and Bregawn, and Two Swallows and Sugar Alley on the outside, and Captain John, and then Silverbuck. This is the water. And quite well strung out as they jump the water, with Drum Rowan in fact jumping at last, and coming to a ditch now. Tide Cottage in the lead from Wansford Boy. Grittar and Night Nurse together, and Sunset Christo just in behind them with Sugar Alley, and then comes Venture to Cognac on the inner, and Bregawn and Diamond Edge and Earthstopper over the fifth. Tide Cottage lands in the lead from Wansford Boy, Sunset Christo, Gritto, Night Nurse, and Sugar Alley on the far side, then Bregawn, Venture to Cognac, and Diamond Edge. Behind Diamond Edge is Earthstopper, and then Captain John, and then comes Two Swallows and Silverbuck as they come to the second ditch. Tide Cottage from Sunset Christo, Sugar Alley, Grittar, Wansford Boy, Night Nurse, Venture to Cognac, and racing to the top of the hill. Tide Cottage from Sugar Alley and Sunset Christo and Grittar and Bregawn, and then Wansford Boy, then Night Nurse, then Venture to Cognac. Behind them come Diamond Edge and Earthstopper, and then Captain John, then Two Swallows and Silverbuck and Leslie Ann and Border Incident and Peter Sandy and Royal Bond. Then comes Henry Bishop, and behind Henry Bishop is Straight Jocelyn, and then Snowflower, and behind Snowflower Master Smudge, and Drum Rowan is tailed off. And over this one it was Tide Cottage still in the lead from Sunset Christo, Grittar and Sugar Alley, then Bregawn, then comes Night Nurse. This is the 10th they're coming to now. Then Wansford Boy, and behind him Venture to Cognac, and then comes Captain John over the 10th. Tide Cottage from Sunset Christo and Sugar Alley and Grittar, and then Bregawn. Behind Bregawn is Night Nurse, Venture to Cognac, Diamond Edge, Earthstopper, Wansford Boy, Leslie Ann, Silverbuck, So racing towards the fence that will be the next to last on the next circuit. This will be number 11, and Tide Cottage still taking them along. Tide Cottage from Sugar Rally, Sunset Cristo, Grittar, Night Nurse over on the far side, Bregawn next, and then comes Earthstopper and Venture de Cognac and Diamond Edge and Silverbuck and Captain John and Leslie Ann and Border Instant making ground on the inner. And then comes Two Swallows behind them, comes Royal Bond making a bit of ground now with Henry Bishop next. Over the 12th, Tide Cottage lands in the lead from Sugar Rally and Bregawn and Sunset Cristo, and then Grittar, and then Night Nurse, then Diamond Edge and Earthstopper and Captain John, then Venture de Cognac, and then Silverbuck. Behind Silverbuck is Leslie Ann. Then comes Border Incident and Royal Bond, and Drum Rowan has pulled up, and so Snow Flyer. Still 20 left and standing in the 1982 Cheltenham Gold Cup as they run out on a final circuit with the veteran 14-year-old Tide Cottage leading them down to the 13th of the 22 fences. Tide Cottage from Sugar Rally and Bregawn and Sunset Cristo, Earthstopper and Grittar, Diamond Edge, Night Nurse, Silverbuck, Venture de Cognac, Captain John, Leslie Ann, Royal Bond, then Border Incident, then Two Swallows, Petey Sandy, Henry Bishop and Straight Jocelyn. And Tide Cottage has increased his lead as he comes to jump the water. Tide Cottage lands in the lead from Sunset Cristo and Bregawn. And Diamond Edge has made very good progress. Grittar on the inside. Night Nurse has lost quite a bit of ground. Earthstopper's getting near to the leaders. So is Royal Bond and Sugar Rally. And Silverbuck also. And it's still the old man, Tide Cottage, with 7 to jump from Sunset Cristo, Diamond Edge, Bregawn, Silverbuck still improving, Earthstopper, Grittar. Then comes Sugar Rally and Captain John and Venture de Cognac and Royal Bond and Leslie Ann. Wansford Boy has been pulled up as they race to the final ditch now, 6 from home. Tide Cottage from Sunset Cristo, Bregawn, Diamond Edge, Silverbuck, Earthstopper, Captain John, Grittar, Venture de Cognac. Behind Venture de Cognac is Leslie Ann, then comes Royal Bond and Night Nurse together. Master Smudge has been pulled up, and Sunset Cristo has taken it up now on the outside of Tide Cottage, and running down the hill now it's Sunset Cristo. From in second place, Tide Cottage. Earthstopper was the fall at that one. And Silverbuck is improving very smoothly in third. Diamond Edge is 4. 5 is Bregawn. 6 is Captain John. 7 Venture de Cognac. Just in behind them come Grittar and Royal Bond under pressure. They've got 3 left to jump now. And it's Tide Cottage once again from Sunset Cristo. Silverbuck coming there strongly. Tide Cottage lands in the lead from Sunset Cristo. Silverbuck, then comes Bregawn and Diamond Edge. Racing now towards the elbow with 2 fences left to jump in the Gold Cup, and it's Tide Cottage being pressed by Silverbuck. Silverbuck going very strongly. Tide Cottage on the inner. Bregawn coming right there too. Sunset Cristo fighting back. Diamond Edge in contention. Just 5 in it now, and it's Silverbuck now with the advantage over Bregawn. These 2 stable companions from Sunset Cristo and Diamond Edge over the second last fence, and Silverbuck landed in the lead from Bregawn and Sunset Cristo and Diamond Edge, and it's the 2 stable companions. An astonishing finale to the Gold Cup this. Silverbuck from Bregawn, the Michael Dickinson train. Silverbuck lands in the lead. Bregawn jumps in second. Diamond Edge third and Sunset Cristo third. And it's Silverbuck from Bregawn as they race into the closing stages. Silverbuck still being pressed by Bregawn as they race up towards the line. Silverbuck from Bregawn, the Michael Dickinson duo. We're going to finish 1-2 at the line. Silverbuck wins it. Bregawn is second. Sunset Cristo is third. Diamond Edge is 4th. Captain John is 5th. Grittar, the national favourite, is 6th, followed by Venture de Cognac and Tide Cottage and Royal Bond and Two Swallows and Leslie Ann and Sugar Rally and Petey Sandy, and they're the only finishers. And so the result of the 1982 Tote Cheltenham Gold Cup. First, number 16, Silverbuck, owned by Mrs. C. Feather, trained by Michael Dickinson and written by Robert Earnshaw. Second was number 2, Bregawn, owned by Mr. M. Keneally, trained by Michael Dickinson and written by Graham Bradley. And third, number 20, Sunset Cristo, owned by Miss Carol Hawkey, trained by Ray Hawkey, written by Chris Grant. And crowds pouring across the course now from the center to get a close view around the new unsettling enclosure, which accommodates at least 4,000 people now. as the 1982 tote Cheltenham Gold Cup winner is led in. Nurse was just unable to produce his real running this afternoon. Maybe that master trainer Peter Easterby's horses are just not firing on all cylinders at the moment, and Silverback just thinning out the crowd a little. Startled by his acclaim and still very full of himself. There's tall Michael Dickinson with his young rider Robert Earnshaw. The starting prices of the principals in the Gold Cup as follows.
First, number 16, Silverback, 8 to 1.